Hello. How many of you have attended a presentation and told yourself from the beginning, wow, it's going to be boring? How many of you have started a presentation, have been presenting, and from the beginning you've been nervous? You felt very nervous in the first minute of your presentation. That's why I'm here today. By the end of my presentation, I can promise that you will leave choosing one idea that you're going to apply in your presentation to calm down your nervousness. My agenda today is this one. I'm going to cover the 4 steps of the introduction, those 4 steps that are so important for you to control your nervousness at the beginning. And we will talk about 7 ideas, 7 steps of introduction to grab participants' attention. We're talking about the PAF. The first step of an introduction is put a force in your beginning. The second step is the objective. Your participants are thinking, what's in it for me? So tell them the what's in it for you. So by the end of my presentation, you will be able to choose. You will be able to identify. You need to do a verb of action. As an example, if I said to you, you will know, it's not a verb of action. But if I change you will know by you will be able to explain, you're much more attractive for the participants that are listening to your presentation. The agenda, well, today we're going to talk about this, and this. Don't confuse anyone. Don't push too much information in your agenda. 1, 2, 3. Establish your credibility. Introduce yourself. My name is. Don't do that at the beginning. It's very boring when a speaker starts like that. My name is, and I'm so happy to be here, and thank you for inviting me. No, no, no. Start with a path. Let me share with you some idea and see what you can choose and what you will choose depending of your subtopic. A path. Put a force. First idea, an incident, an anecdote, a story. So let me give you an example. Once I heard a psychiatrist. He had been invited to speak to 300 family doctors about violence in the family. And he started like that. He said, the other night, it was 7 p.m. I couldn't wait to go home. I was so tired and I wanted a good meal. Suddenly, my nurse came to me and said, Doctor, you cannot leave. There's a patient in the waiting room. She needs to see you. She was in very bad shape. When I opened the door, I couldn't believe how she was. So I said, come to my office. Come here, sit down. And she looked at me and she said, Doctor, you need to help me. It's my husband who did that to me. By the end of my presentation, doctor, you will be able to identify the 4 most important questions you should ask your patients to find out if there is a problem in the violence in the family. For doing that, I will be talking about that, and that. My name is, and now establish your credibility, but just number 4. Don't do that at the beginning. So that's an idea. When you're writing a story, when you decide that a story would be more appropriate, would be really appropriate for your topic, please write it down. Write it down, not for you to read it for sure. You'll learn it by heart. But when you write it down, you can correct it, edit it, make it, more shorten it. We don't want to be too long, but it's very interesting to start with an anecdote. It's very, very good when it is pertinent. Number 2, a strong quote. I love quotes. There's so many quotes, but you need to choose the quote that is pertinent to your topic. So an idea, a suggestion, I've seen once a quote, If you want me to do a long presentation, I will do it right away. If you want me to make a short presentation, give me 2 weeks to prepare. Winston Churchill. So let's say I'm doing a presentation on this topic, on that topic of the presentation. Maybe I can use a quote like that, but there's so many more that we can use. Thirdly, provocative statement. Well, a provocative statement is not everybody that can do that. My personality wouldn't go with that. I would not be able to use it, but some people are so good with it. Once I heard a doctor, he was invited to talk about Alzheimer, and he started like that. Don't you think we should stop spending energy, spending money for those patients who suffer Alzheimer? Don't you think we should park them in a building somewhere and leave them in their world? Whew. We were looking at each other. We felt very surprised. But he continued and said, unless you are like me and you care so much about those patients, about those people. It's why I'm here today. By the end of my presentation, you will. And for doing that, we'll talk about that, and that. My name is, you see the 4 steps. Wonderful. It works beautifully if it fits your topic. Number 4, unusual statistics. It's very nice when you have an important statistic and you really want to surprise your audience with it. Well, you should maybe make it visual. It's an idea. So once I heard a doctor, a neurologist, he was invited to talk about migraine. And he started like that. He says 38% of our Canadian suffers migraine. How many of you have been at the Bell Center here in Montreal? Put your hand up, please. Imagine to put all those Canadians together in the Bell Center. We need 210 Bell Center. You see, suddenly, his statistic became visual. And it was more attractive because we can have an idea of how many Canadians suffers migraine. So it's much more interesting. So that's an idea. Number 5, a show of hands. Well, a show of hands is very, very practical. It's very easy to do. That's what I've used at the beginning of this video. But it's important to do it properly. If you ask a question, as an example, how many of you find it difficult to diagnose depression? So I have to do that like that. How many of you find it difficult to diagnose depression? Put your hand up, please. So the speaker has to do it. So he creates, people are participating. So, but watch the way you ask your question. Do not say, do you find it difficult to diagnose depression? You know what will happen? It won't work. It will not work. You have to open your presentation. How many of you find it? That people will embark. They will participate. And from the beginning, they will say, wow, it's going to be interesting because they feel part of your presentation. That's what's wonderful. Number 6, get them laughing. Well, we don't laugh when it doesn't work with the presentation. Humor is good, but humor when it's not pertinent to the topic. No. We don't do that. But an idea. I heard one day a speaker. He started like that. He said, I understand that tonight my job is to speak to you. And your job is to listen to me. If you finish your job before mine, would you please tell me? I found it very much fun. I laugh. So that's okay. But but watch your humor. Some humor is not good, and we have to watch other way we're using it. A prop. I love to use prop. I use prop very often in my workshops, in my presentation. But here is an example. One day, my colleague Christy and we are talking about change management. We're invited in Toronto to speak about change management. And we decided that we need a good PAF, we needed a good PAF, and we decided to buy a card like that. It's a musical card. So we opened the card and said, ba, ba, la, 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 it's a musical card. And we said, do you realize that in 1968, the city of Montreal bought a computer that took a floor from a big building, the whole floor from a big building in Montreal, and the computer costed $1 million. Now, my card did not cost $3, but has so much memory that the computer had at that time. Change is happening fast, and you need to prepare for change, and it's why we're here today. So it's an idea. There's so many other props that you can use when it's pertinent, of course. Another idea for an introduction that I'd like to add here is analogy. I love to use analogy. As an example of an analogy, you can say, if you prepare a presentation without thinking about your audience, it's like writing a love letter and addressing it to whom it may concern. It doesn't work. So please listen to my presentation, because we are going to look at thinking how to prepare an audience, how to prepare for the audience you are going to meet. So today we've seen the PAF. Put a force. I gave you idea. You just have to think about what would work for your topic. The what's in it for you. Tell them. It's as important as the PAF. As important. So you will be able to, because adults, they don't want to waste their time. So tell them from the beginning what they will gain from your presentation. Agenda. Don't put too much. Just say, we'll talk about that, that, and that. And very clear. You will add a lot of information when you make your presentation. And introduce yourself. My name is, today, in conclusion, we've seen we've seen eight ideas on how to prepare a presentation, prepare a PAF, and you probably have more. And we have seen the importance of the objective. What will you gain from my presentation? And we've seen the importance of introducing yourself at the end, not at the beginning of your presentation. An introduction is a little bit like a flight, like when you're flying somewhere. When the takeoff goes, when the takeoff is good and the landing is good, you will excuse the turbulence during the flight. So thank you very much. Have a good day.